So welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders, their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Andrew Wheatley, who's Managing Director at Wheatley FM. So firstly, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. And if you'd like to start by introducing yourself and Wheatley FM, what you do and how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Hi, thanks for that, Chris. Yes, my name's Andrew Wheatley. I'm the Managing Director of a company called Wheatley FM. We're a Leeds-based company, and we basically do maintenance services for commercial projects. This covers a wide aspects of different things in building and property maintenance. This could be from anything from your fire extinguishers to plumbing issues to new carpets, everything inside that you've got inside of a building. Externally, we do landscaping, provide security services, and do everything that one client wants. They just need to make one phone call and basically put it into our hands, and we will just deal it with them. We've been established, what is it now, 13 years.
Wow.
I formed the business myself. I started off as an electrician when I was a lot younger. Worked my way through, started working for a few companies. I had a previous company before this, which I basically sold my shares in, and I formed Wheatley FM. And I used to work out of my house in a basement, and that's how I started out, Chris.
Wowzers, that's fantastic! What a great background. You're probably aware of the unfortunate stats of business survival, but unfortunately, 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And of those 20% that survive, another 80% fail in the following 5. So to get past 10 to 13 puts you in at least the top 4% of businesses in general. So firstly, well done for that. I'm looking forward to learning more about how you've done it and what you've learned. So thank you. So maybe going back all the way to start, if you tell a little bit more about your background. Obviously, you mentioned being an electrician, but even before that, how you got into business and why this particular one.
Well, I was an apprentice trained electrician. As I say, I used to work on building sites on a number of different projects. I worked my way through when I started working in an office, becoming an electrical design engineer.
Right.
From there, I became an estimator, doing electrical estimations for contracts. And then I moved into being a contracts manager, so looking after projects on site. And I sort of progressed my way through in that business, and I started looking after not just the electrical side, but also the mechanical side. Okay. And we were primarily just a contracting company. So we'd come in there, we'd have tender drawings and specifications, price from that, win the work, and then basically do the job and walk away from there.
Yeah.
And then I saw a little bit of a niche where clients used to say to us, do you maintain what you've actually installed? So we used to say, no, we don't do it. We don't do FM. So we worked with a lot of schools then, and we started basically offering a small FM side of things for the things that we'd put in there. And within that business, I had shares in the business I started working in. I basically got to a stage in 2010 where I didn't want to be doing contracting anymore, and I wanted to be working directly for clients, a lot more interaction with other people. Yes. Rather than working for the main developers and everything else. I wanted to work with the client, the end user. So I sold my shares in that business that I had then, and I formed the company now, Wheatley FM. And I soon discovered that people need us. People need somebody to maintain everything. And everybody, I say this quite a lot of people, Chris, is you always need somebody like us. Great. Because if you wanted let's say you've got a leaking tap somewhere in an office, who do you call? Yeah. Well, yes, you go to check a trade and all the other people there. But then if you've got a faulty light switch, you want a fire alarm servicing.
Yeah.
So we started offering a lot more services to clients.
Yes.
Now, basically, we don't do it all in-house. We do use subcontractors, but majority of the work is by our own engineers.
Brilliant.
But if you've got a problem there, we can, not a problem. We can sort it out for you, and we will do all the hard work. So you make, from a client's point of view, You make the single point of contact, and then you can rest assured it's just dealt with.
So valuable that, isn't it? Just
Mm.
providing that single point of contact. With my previous business was in sort of software systems, IT type stuff, and we ended up providing something very similar on a technology point of view of we can help you with the first point of contact. We might pass you to the next supplier, but you don't have to think. You don't have 10 different numbers and work out which ones where and what you have to do. We'll deal with it. That's wonderful. Well, and what a great way of describing what you do, because I feel it. Well, I don't think it's just me personally, but facilities management isn't always an obvious thing to understand. I know it probably, you would say it does what it says in the tin, but you've explained it well.
Well, a lot of people think it's a radio station, but it's not.
Absolutely. So let's go all the way back to start. When you were growing up, was this what you foresaw yourself doing, or did you have another plan?
Absolutely not. I do remember this. I wanted to be a bin man.
When
I was very, very small, I thought I'm going to be a bin man, because I used to see them driving down the road and they used to be hanging off the back of the bin.
Hanging off the back, yeah.
And I thought, how good is that? And then I sort of went, through secondary school, and to be honest with you, Chris, I didn't know what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Hadn't a clue. I basically was about to leave school and I didn't have a clue. And it was my father said, right, go get a trade. He said, if you go get a trade, you'll never be without work.
Yes.
So exactly what I did, I went out there and I started, becoming an apprentice electrician. And I did a few different things along the way. So I started doing different courses as well, because when I was at college, it was what they call block term. So you go 5 days a week.
Yeah.
But then I found, well, I'm in Leeds anyway. I might as well do another course on an evening.
Right.
So I started doing different courses on an evening, because why not?
Yeah.
And I sort of progressed that way to becoming, basically working my way through a business.
Yeah.
I got to see all of the aspects of the business.
Yeah.
So from the ground upwards, I knew about, actually, that's how you install things.
Yeah.
That's the right way, so you open your eyes and to be very observant when you actually are in your surroundings.
Yes.
So now I've got the ability to walk into a building and I can just walk around the building and I can say, this is what you've got.
Yeah.
And this is what you need us to do.
Yes.
From an FM point of view is, this is the equipment you've got in your building. This is what you should be doing to the client, and then give them the options to say, what would you like us to do for you?
Fabulous. It's having that mastery sounds great. Just knowing exactly what you need to do, and that give your clients a lot of confidence, I would imagine.
I think you build up confidence quite a lot, Chris, to be honest with you. I think when I remember when I first started going to meetings, I was in a room full of different people there, obviously a lot older than myself.
Yeah.
And I was a bit lost, to be honest with you. I was very scared, really nervous going in for the first few times into these meetings.
Yeah.
But then actually, once you stand up for yourself and actually say, well, no, I do know this, and have the confidence about it, say, well, no, just instead of doing it this way, why don't we do it a different way? People actually started listening to you.
Yeah.
And actually saying, oh, actually, yeah, that's a good idea.
Brilliant.
Probably didn't get it right all of the time. But I think once you start going into that role where you actually having meetings, for example, as I said, this is my first podcast ever, which is, very nervous for me to do.
Yeah.
But I think you build up confidence after a while in your own abilities, because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you know something inside and out, you have got the confidence to say about what you offer or how you go about things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wonderful. And looking at the growth of the business, what would you say some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome, Andrew?
The biggest challenges for us, to be honest with you, one of the big things that we do always find is staffing.
Yeah.
Having the high quality staff that you need within a business to support yourself as the owner or the manager of the business, you need good staff around you to do that.
Yeah.
And you need people that you can basically allow them to sort of do their own tasks without micromanaging people.
Yeah.
Having that is very, very fundamental to do that.
Yeah.
Having clients who trust you is a very, very big thing. For my own self is I like to think that I'm a very, very honest person. And it's not just about making, I can make so much money out of different people or anything like that. Because you don't retain clients.
No.
So if a client is unhappy, the relationship between you and the client breaks down quite easily.
Yes.
Whereas I always try to look at it from a client's point of view. Yes, we're a company. We're out here to make money. There's nothing wrong with saying we want to make profit on there.
Absolutely.
But we do it a little bit different from a lot of companies. We'll tell them how much we're making on it. So we will agree a percentage that we will make on their services that we offer them. And they like the openness and honesty of, this is a nice approach you're having with you. So our client retention is extremely good. I've got clients that go back since day one who are still with us. Right. You don't always retain clients. You know, some clients might go to national contractors.
Yeah.
Because they might have offices, you know, in the south, up in the north areas, and that's fine. You know, it might suit them to go with big national contractors. But I've also got a lot of clients who have offices in the north and south who particularly want to use us.
Yeah.
And they use us because our openness and honesty, where they can actually speak to the same person. They're not having to chase people. So if they send an email, even if you don't know, they get a reply pretty much straight away to say, okay, then we're either dealing with it or just leave it with me, I'll come back to you. And it's about that. If people don't know, they think nothing's happening.
Yep.
But if they have a response, I'll pick the phone up, say, I'll let me investigate, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
That's fine. They accept that because they've spoken to somebody, they've had communication, and that puts their mind at ease to say, yes, it's going to be dealt with. And as I say, that's why we have clients, obviously a lot of clients in the Leeds area, Yorkshire area, but also we do have clients that have offices or premises in the Leeds area, Yorkshire area, but also down in Croydon, Bristol, Newcastle, Edinburgh.
Brilliant.
And they want to use us because we care.
Yeah.
We care about it, and we also look at it from their point of view.
Yes.
So we don't just give one solution fits all. It's a case, can we think outside the box?
Yeah.
Is there something else we can do, a better way for you?
Yeah.
So we look at it from their point of view because, you know, they're spending money, and if it was my money, I would want somebody to actually think of things a little bit deeper rather than just going to maybe just a national contractor who just goes, okay, just a number. And you can be speaking to 20 different people in that business, or you need to speak to 5 different people before you get to somebody who can actually help you. And that's us.
That's fascinating. It brings to mind there's an industry statistic about related to why clients leave businesses, why clients leave us, and it varies up and down to a certain extent, you know, as it's measured. But fundamentally, it's quite staggering that 68% of clients leaving us is for one reason, that's perceived disinterest. They think we don't care. And you know, way above price or lots of other things, it's just that you don't really care enough about me to want me to be your client. And so just hearing that is just it is great, because it's music to ears. It's very much that point of going that extra mile, making a client feel special. And also, it's not that difficult, Andrew. Or it's not. It's simple, but it's not always easy, I guess. Is the challenge to it.
But if you have, going back to what I was sort of originally saying, is if you have the staff there in place,
yes, and
having that high quality of staff behind you, it's not just leading from the managing director, the owner's point of view. It's also all the other staff in there that actually care.
Yeah,
they actually care that you as a client may have an issue.
Yes.
So yes, you're important. You know, at the end of the day, if we didn't have the clients, there would be no business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's, I always think it's harder retaining clients.
Yeah.
Rather than getting new clients, because with the internet now, everybody just does more searches than anything else, and you can come up with, 10 different FM companies in the Leeds area with, just asking for FM companies.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to retain clients, as you said, if you're showing a disinterest in them, and if they feel that you're not responding as you should be doing it,
Yep.
or you're not giving it the effort, well, yeah, of course they're going to look around and go out to other people. But if you have somebody that's happy, who's getting the response time, and you've been, open and honest with people,
yep,
they respect that and they can see that.
Yep.
And that's why you get so high client retention.
Yeah, it's that whole thing about not, there's no point filling a leaky bucket. There's no point going to get new clients if you're losing them all the time, is it? It's just hard work for net some gain. So absolutely makes sense. So alongside that, what are some of the biggest learnings you've had about running and growing a business, Andre?
Setting up your procedures from day one.
Right. Yeah, great.
I think if you're starting up, let's say if you're starting a new business, or if you're even a small, medium-sized business, it's always good to have things set up from day one, or even if you take a snapshot in time to say, right, we're doing things wrong here, we're wasting time, or we're doing things that are making things out complicated.
Yeah.
So when I first set the business up, I set my systems up in place.
Brilliant.
So everybody deals in our organizations, operates under the same remit. And that's for your data storage. So where's something located? Oh, it's in this bit of paper here, or it's there, or anything like that. No. Everything is centrally located.
Brilliant.
By client, by task items. So anybody in my organization can find something extremely quickly.
Brilliant.
We have an email portal that we use where all of our emails are stored centrally, so everybody can read everybody else's emails if they needed to refer back to it. Because you do have holiday, you do have sickness.
Yes.
And sometimes somebody else has to step into somebody else's shoes to have a look at things. It's easy for us. If you set your business up right the first time, it makes your life going forward a lot easier. So that's any policies that you've got in place. Having that key set up, the company structure set up initially works. And I do think that that's the biggest thing where you can lose time, people chasing around looking for things, and it should be 2 clicks and it's there. I remember when I was first setting up the company, I was looking to try and get a bank loan. I thought, I need a little bank loan because I needed to buy some vehicles. And I thought, how do I get this bank loan? So I went to the bank, and I don't mind saying it, I used to be with Barclays. And I went to them and said, been with them a long time. I said, oh no, have you got where's your, like business statement to make a statement? I'm like, oh right, okay, I've never done one of those. So I looked online, I thought, all right, okay. And I was reading through it, and you do download templates. I start writing it there. I thought, oh, this is a bit of a waste of time, is this? I thought all this is doing it to get the loan, to get the vehicles. And I said, rather than doing that, what I'm going to do is actually set myself targets.
Great.
So I set myself a 3-year target, because I know you said it was 5 years, a lot of companies fail and stuff. I always said that in the first year you lose money. Yep. Second year you should break even.
Yeah.
Third year you should be making money. And if you're not, you should be out of the business. So I set a 3-year target. So I said I want to be there. And there were only silly targets, really. I said I want to be up to having 3 mobile engineers by year 1, end of year 1. Or I want to be doing this much number of turnover by year 2. And I got up to my 3 years, and I hit every single target that I'd actually wanted to achieve. I thought, I patted myself on the back. So we were making money and we were doing really, really well. And then I thought, right, I need to have a really look at this then. So I started doing a very similar exercise where I set myself targets for another 5. Well, I did it for another 5 years this time. I said, where do I want to be in 5 years? How would I love to see it? And I basically set these targets again to do this. There weren't silly targets. There were, realistic. Well,
Yep.
I want to move out of my basement. I want to move out of my basement. I want an office somewhere.
Yep.
And I want this number of staff, and I want, this number of clients, and you achieve it. And I think if you then look back, you write it once and then go back to it again a year later, 2 years later, and read what it says.
Yep.
To check where you actually are. And if you've gone off that course, then you need to do some corrections on there.
Yes.
And to remodel your business and say, well, actually, hold on a minute. We've gone off track of where we were heading in the business.
Brilliant.
Providing, what we do is when COVID hit, it was devastating because it was a very, very big thing. Instantaneously, I furloughed 2/3 of the office staff and I furloughed 2/3 of the engineering team.
Right.
Because we provide emergency service and we provide an out of hours response, like a 3-hour response time for emergencies, we had to keep certain staff on a rota basis. And then I thought to myself, well, hold on a minute. This is actually, whilst it's very, very sad of what was happening at the time when COVID hit, I realised that we had a bit of an opportunity in a way. So we were doing works where, because buildings were empty, or very limited staff in a lot of buildings.
Yeah.
We were going in there and doing works there that we'd normally have to do out of hours. We could do them during working hours.
Yeah.
And I also managed to get a source of test kits.
Yeah.
Get PP, get face masks, which you couldn't get hold of at the time.
Right.
I managed to get a source where I was, getting all of it. But what I was doing is I was also doing it for clients. So I was going into clients' offices, and at the time I was really, really worried about it.
Yes.
And we were basically testing people before they went in the offices.
Brilliant.
To allow the staff to go back into the offices.
Brilliant.
And then after sort of a month, we thought, I had to unfurl all the staff because we were that busy. And it was changing your business model a little bit. It wasn't about, we weren't, it wasn't about making loads of money, but actually we were looking at it from a client is saying, well, actually, no, these clients need to be, a lot of them do need to be in the office areas.
Yes.
And, if that's what we were trying to provide as a service, so we could get to test kits to test people.
Yeah.
And say the base covering, we started obviously doing the control measures, putting booths up for people, directional arrows all the way around buildings and things like that.
Yep.
And so we actually got really, really busy through the COVID period, which certainly in the first year, I was working 7 days a week, very early in the morning, very late at night. And I do remember that because the weather was absolutely, it was red hot that first year.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I just wish I could have bought some gym gear though at the time because you couldn't buy any gym gear. So people were home exercising.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, very, very busy time for us over the COVID period. And then when you were coming out of COVID, obviously, business has changed for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Quite worrying. So whilst we do look after a lot of commercial properties, so we do obviously schools, we do office buildings, we also look after a lot of residential, big, large blocks for property management companies.
Yes.
And we found that whilst the work in schools obviously just basically dropped off a cliff, offices had sort of depleted a little bit more because we weren't doing a lot of the repair works that we used to be doing. On the residential side of it, things that got a lot more buoyant because people were working from home.
Yes.
So we got very, very busy in that sector there, working in the residential side. And it sort of balanced itself out.
Yeah.
But now people or clients, they have still got a lot of areas where people are doing flexible working hours or they've had to close certain offices down. And I feel really quite bad really in a way because I think also that impacts on a lot of other companies or businesses in, the sort of the leisure centre. People aren't going out drinking after work, aren't going out for restaurants. So it's affecting so many people now that people aren't actually still fully back in offices full time.
Yes, and it seems like it's it's a permanent change, that it will always be a hybrid. It feels like it doesn't feel like we'll end up with everyone back up in the office every day, I don't think.
No, I can't ever see it going back to that way. People don't want to.
No.
People have actually got, no disrespect to anybody or anything like that, but people have actually got used to working from home.
Yeah.
They're set up now with their laptops or computers, however they do it, or whatever they're doing, if it's an office role, and they can quite easily work from home now. And they think, oh, actually, why should I be commuting into different town centres when I can actually get up there and I'm at my desk without having to spend half an hour travelling there and back each day?
It's just wasted time. I mean, it's wasted time. But there's so many negatives to that, to commuting when we don't have to. There is a big part of being part of a team that means that we should get together, but that doesn't have to be all day every day. And no, that's fascinating. It's interesting. One thing you talked about a little earlier, which I thought was really fascinating, was the systemization of your business from an early stage. And it's something we work with businesses a lot. Most businesses, I would suggest, early, even to mid stage, could do with better systems. And as you say, you get the consistency of doing it the same way every time, which is quality. But also it means that the owners, the key people in the business, have a chance of delegating, because the phrase you always use is, if you don't write down what you do when you do it, then you're pretty much guaranteed to have to do it again next time.
Yeah.
How much did that help? The fact that you systemized meant that you could move forward with developing the business while you got other people in to the process.
Massively. Don't get me wrong, it's very time consuming to do it, because you're busy trying to get new work or maintain your clients you've got initially, because there's only you and somebody, you might be on your own, or you could have a couple of people. So your time is very, very valuable. But the long term is if you actually get the systems in place from day one, even if you're adding to it.
100%.
And it makes life so much easier for everybody else, because then new staff join you, you can show them where it is, so they're not asking you where this might be or anything else, or it's saved on my desktop, or it's saved on that person's desktop, or it's this email. So working as a team, as a group, as a company, I think is very, very vital, depending on the size of the business and the size that you want to actually go to. But everything from your health and safety to your HR, having it all there, having method statements, risk assessments, and everything else that goes along with it. If you have it all in one place, people can find it easy enough. And it doesn't mean that the business doesn't revolve around you anymore. There are other people there that actually find things and deal with any issues that might occur.
It's a great learning to have, and it's something that most people have to go through a process of not doing it to realize the value of doing it, including myself, if I'm perfectly honest. And so that shows quite a lot of foresight. I'll be, in my opinion, where did you get that learning from?
I got it from working at a previous company, and they had systems. I mean, this is going back a long time now. It was all DOS-based systems.
Oh goodness!
So it's a long time now. And it found out that it was like, if you're filing something, then you file it in, alphabetical order, or however you file it. So using a dictionary, you know where to find it because you're looking for your A's, B's, and C's. And it was that mentality. And I thought how easy it is to find something if it's filed correctly. I basically sat down one day and I drew on a piece of A4 paper, basically a flow chart. And it was, there you go. There's the business. That's it. What comes off there? Well, I need accounts. Okay, accounts. And I basically just created file paths of all the different things that I might need. Clients, client all names. Under that client, my client might have, 10 sites. So all the sites. So everything was always in place there. So if somebody needed to find something, they just needed to click on, look for something really, really easy. And I've always been very, very structured and very, very sort of logical thinking to say, right, well, that's the way to do it. There's no point trying to make hard work for yourself. So it's not about taking the easiest path. But if I can start running around the field, if I can go straight across the field, that's the path I'd always take.
Brilliant.
So it makes it easier and long term because it reduced my time down. And my time was, it is important still, but it was back in then, it was more so important.
It's the trap most people fall into is that, it's going to take me time to write the system, so I might as well just do it myself. That's the classic. But one thing for anyone that might be watching or listening right now, one of the simple things that I think really demonstrates the value of systems is numerically or mathematically, if we can find something that we do that takes 10 minutes a day that we can systemize and delegate, 10 minutes a day is a week in a business year.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to get a week back or multiple weeks back, just start to delegate the simple stuff that other people can do.
Well, Chris, I'll tell you this. So I've had 2 different offices now since I moved out of my basement. Since then, I drive about 10 minutes to work every day and 10 minutes home, because I figured out that if I was going to drive further, that could be 45 minutes. So that's, so let's say, for example, it's half an hour there more, half an hour back. That's an hour.
That's an hour.
Times 5. That's half of my day gone.
Yep.
In traveling time.
Yep.
And I know you can make phone calls and things sometimes like that. So you still can be a little bit productive. But the time that I start in the morning, you're not really making that many phone calls.
Yep.
And if you're working late on the night, you're not really making phone calls to clients and everything, or to other team members at sort of, 6, 7 o'clock at night. You're not doing that. So I reduced that time down as much as possible. So majority of my staff are probably within 20-minute driving distance away from the offices at the moment. The engineers that we employ, they are spread out a little bit more of a field but I try and always select where they're going to be working. So if I know I've got a job in Sheffield and an engineer lives in Sheffield, I'm going to be trying to pick that engineer to go to Sheffield. Yeah. So it's all about time management and not wasting that time.
Brilliant. Music to my ears. Fabulous. So you're probably aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, or just life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
Oh, well, I've never worked with a coach before, a professional coach in that way. My friends.
Yeah.
Tell the truth. I've got, I'm quite fortunate. I've got a lot of really, really nice friends and a lot of really successful friends.
Yeah.
And we listen to each other.
Yeah.
So I remember going to a problem, whether, how do you deal with this? Rather than just going up in my own mind, I used to listen to different people and my friends. And one of them would come up with a different idea. Somebody else says something else. But then I was listening to their opinions to allow me to form my own opinion of what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So the biggest influence are a lot, certainly my friends. I do listen to them quite a lot, not particularly now about this, but certainly the early days is to get other people's opinions.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Great.
Because even though I might think, I've got a really good idea, somebody else might not.
Yeah.
One of the things when new staff come and join us, I always say to them, well, you've been working at this different organisation. If you ever see something that we're doing in our own business that we're doing a bit silly or anything like that, if you've got any ideas, bring them to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm always, because I'm not saying that we do everything 100% fantastic, But the company down the road, this new staff member might have come back with an idea and say, "Oh, Andrew, have you thought about doing this?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. If it makes sense, if it's more effective for us to do it that way, if there's a benefit from it, definitely we'll do it. So
Yeah.
I listen to different opinions, but certainly my friends.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And have you, either from them or other sources, have you picked up any favorite quotes or sayings that you use a lot in business, Andrew?
Oh, now I dare say a lot of people say I've probably got a lot of quotes, but I don't know.
That's okay.
One of my favorite, and I do say this, I said it to somebody this morning, is always treat people how you expect to be treated.
Great.
Because I expect to be treated okay,
Yeah.
and I'll always treat somebody else how I would like to be treated.
Great.
Well, in no matter who it is, but certainly from a client, yes,
Great.
treat people how you expect to be treated.
Very sound advice in every part of life and business. I think it's a simple thing, isn't it? Is that how you expect that? Totally. And what would you say, Andrew, you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far?
Take a little bit more time sometimes, and that is in everything. It's not about taking time off on holidays or anything like that, but sometimes is sit back.
Yes.
Let's say if you've had something difficult to deal with,
Yeah.
that you need to step back, have a think about it,
Yes.
and no, actually, no, I'm not going to action this today. I'm actually going to think of this. I'm going to sleep on it and just think a little bit more. And as I say, if you need more time, as I said, I've got some very good friends that I can ask the same questions, say, "Oh, what do you do?" or things like that. So take a little bit more time, I think, sometimes, because it's easy to have what they call a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes.
Oh, and fly off the handle sometimes, and rather than just relax, okay, and let a lot of things pass you by.
Yeah.
You do see things that maybe you wouldn't do it that way. This is how you do it, Chris. You do it your way. But sometimes doing it your way might be better than my way.
Yeah.
So sit back and we'll go and let you do it your way then.
Yes.
Sometimes my way is not always the best way, and look how things are.
Yes.
Take time a little bit. That's more.
It's interesting. I find it with a lot of action-oriented people that, we want to take action. Like, I've got a problem, take action. But I love the phrase, which helps those people especially, but everyone in general, slow down to speed up.
Mm.
And it is let's just slow down, and then if we find a faster route, then we've actually speeded up by taking that step back, rather than just go at it, which. And the challenge is especially in the starting phases of a business, going at it is exactly what we do all day, every day, isn't it? And it's changing a behaviour that's got us to where we want to get to. Is can be quite challenging. But it's interesting to see where we've got to so far, and clearly what a successful business. So looking forward now, Andrew, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Going forward, I would like to grow the business further. I probably need to do what I've actually just said and actually set myself new targets, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I haven't done it. And I will do that. That's one of the things I will do, because you need to have somewhere to aim for.
Yes.
Because otherwise you could just be rumbling along doing what you're doing day in, day out, and you become stagnated.
Yep.
Instead of actually looking forward and say, where do you want to be? Well, from my point of view, I'm never going to stop working. I can't do it. It's not in my nature to stop.
I can so tell that from our discussion already. It's
but it might change the business. You might have somebody wanting to do a management buyout or something like that. Certainly not now. So probably I want to try and grow the business. I might look at opening another office up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And probably just driving it forward and probably getting to quite a lot more of the public sector work. Ours is a lot of the private sector areas.
Yeah.
I mean, we do public, but I could probably drive into that a little bit more.
Okay.
How do I think things are going to be in the future? Honestly, I think we're probably going to be on a bit of a downturn, but I always try and look on the bright side of things, because you can always, people say about recessions, and you can always talk yourself into recession. Well,
oh goodness, yeah.
Not really interested about that, because I've been through quite a few recessions, and I'm sure you've seen yourself, you've been through it yourself. And whilst there's a trough, there's also a peak in there. And it's a case of, right, okay, you just have to roll with it sometimes.
Yeah.
I do think, we're going to be in the harder times. And if I can, as I say, with a lot of private companies at the moment that we work with, private clients, and maybe that I should be tapping into some of the public side as well, just to give you a bit of more resilience.
Yes.
Because, if you've got your foot in, my father always used to say, the more clients you have, the more fingers in the pies, you're going to get, you're going to be a little bit more bulletproof.
Yeah.
And we do that. So we have got a very, very wide, broad client base in a lot of different sectors that they work in.
Yeah.
Which helps us. But probably push into the public sector a little bit more. Yeah,
brilliant. It sounds great. And it's interesting about targets. When you were talking about earlier, I was thinking, the targets give us direction and momentum, and without it, we don't know where. If we want to get to, we know how fast we've got to go in which direction. And the other things I find really important is that we set them so other people can help us get there. If other people don't know where we're headed, they can't help us. They can follow us. So it's so vital. And I'm guessing that you'll have a sort of senior team that you're able to get them to help you deliver the next stage of growth.
Oh yeah, without having that behind you, you're not going to do it.
Yeah,
you can't do it on your own.
Yes.
So you do need the people behind you.
Yeah.
With the same sort of focus that you want to be what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
And you do see people. I try to bring it naturally into the business, so I tend to do it from within.
Yeah, great.
I don't just build, have somebody come in who can listen, this is what we're going to do, target to growth and things like that. I don't particularly like that sort of approach, because it's my baby, is this. So I don't want to I want to grow the business. It's not just about growing the business, it's how you actually get there. So I would feel uncomfortable in a lot of things that certain people may do, whereas I prefer just to be, yes, growth might take longer, but we've got there in a more controlled manner.
Yeah.
So, me going out there and buying another FM company in Manchester or wherever we are, don't like doing that. I prefer to actually say, no, we're going to set our own offices up somewhere.
Right.
And have people in there who have the same mentality as what we have here in the Leeds base. Even whether it's somebody there, I might relocate.
Yeah.
And to head that office up and to do it that way, rather than just going out and buying different businesses or.
Yeah. Makes perfect. Yeah, makes perfect sense. And Andrew, what would you say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now?
Do it.
Great.
Honestly, I've got, this is genuine, I've got a member of staff who works for me. He's an engineer, very, very intelligent man, very, very clever. And he keeps, because we're honest, we talk to each other, and he says, I'm thinking about setting up on my own. I said, well, yeah, do it, because it's too late then. You start getting older, and he's a youngish man, he has just had his first, he's got baby daughter now, but you find that things are always stopping you in a way.
Yeah. And
I do think whilst starting your own business is so hard sometimes, it can be so rewarding as well. Yes. The downside of it is when you first start, you are working 24/7.
Yeah.
So when you go on holiday, you might have phone calls, you might have emails, you might have things to deal with. All of the time, Saturdays and Sundays, bank holidays, there might always be something that you need to deal with. And it's just one of those things you have to sort of accept initially. And then once you actually start building the business up there, is you find out actually, yeah. I remember, Chris, this sitting in my basement, and I couldn't believe it. A check came through the post, paper check, and I was like, oh, it was actually a paper check. I mean, obviously, very few people actually send checks anymore.
Oh, I remember it really well. Yeah, yeah.
And it was like such a good feeling. I ran off straight down to the bank to put the money in the bank, and it was like, and it was glorious. I do actually miss actually getting that, even though
Me too.
it's silly, but
Me
it
too.
was actually quite nice because actually you felt like you had something in return rather than just looking on your phone and saying, "Oh,
Yep.
That's my bank balance." So that sort of joys when you actually formed a company and you actually get your first payment coming there. You think, "Oh yeah, great." Then you get your next, and oh, brilliant, brilliant, And then you see, oh, I've got a new client. You're going out because you've got the energy about you to go and see the new client to get more clients.
Yep.
And I think anybody looking to do it, just do it. Even if hopefully it wouldn't do, but at least you've tried.
Yep.
You've tried to do it. And as I said, me telling a member of my own staff, even though if he leaves, he'll be missed. No, it's about being fair with you and do it because life's too short to have sort of regrets about not having a business or trying it.
Brilliant. Very enlightened attitude, I feel, because it's we can't keep people. We're better off helping them, supporting them, and if it doesn't work for them, they'll be able to come back.
Chris, I tell you what, because going back to this trust and honesty thing about, I know that if that engineer did leave me and he went out on his own business, I'd be also always phone him and say, "Oh, can you help me out on this or anything like that?" And he would do. And conversely, if he wanted any help and anything, I'd more than gladly help him. Not a problem. What about that? Because he's giving advice. It's about sharing. I do it with the clients. So clients might move from one business to another and staff members.
Yeah.
And I get quite often phone calls a year later, 2 years later. "Oh, so and so from, remember from so and so?" "Of course I do." "Oh, well, I'm at this company now. Do you want to come and see me?" And that's how it happens. People buying into you as the owner of the business or the director, but also your staff as well. Because clients get to know all the staff members.
Yes.
How's so and so getting on and everything else, and it's very, very rewarding. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But if you're prepared to put in the footwork, and if you've actually got a good mentor that you can actually talk to, or coach, it's very, very good. I would always really encourage anybody, regardless of what it is you might be thinking about doing, give it a go. Give it a go.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I'm interested to respond to this question, Andrew. One of the definitions we have for a true business is a commercial profitable enterprise that works without its owner or owners.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't work in it. It just means it can work independently of you. What's your thoughts on that proposition? I know you've created this. It is your baby, as you've described it as. What's your initial reaction to that?
Definitely. I get approached. I bet every other week I get approached by a company wanting to buy the company out.
Yeah.
Some of them are actually specifically targeted at the business, and some of them are just general ones. And I always looked at this and said, well, if anybody wanted to buy your business, then what are they buying? Well, they're buying obviously the clients, they're buying the work, the stock, the engineers and staffing team. And I was always very, very mindful, or certainly in the past, 6-7 years, that the business can't just revolve around me.
Right.
Because if it just revolves around me, what if I pop my clogs tomorrow? What if what would happen with the business?
Yeah.
The business would continue. I know it would. Whilst I am obviously a key component in the business would still operate because I started what I did first on there. I put structure in the business.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Going back to the original structure, so everybody knows everything else. So all my emails, everybody can see all my emails and everything else there. So they can actually quite easily find out information they wanted to do. All the staff members know the clients inside and out. So it just doesn't revolve around one person. Yeah, of course, because initially when you start any businesses, it's you.
Yeah.
It's about you. But you have to take that time to step back a little bit to say, right, there you go, and let these other people sort of look after a lot of the running of the business. So we have people obviously deal with all aspects of the business. And as I say, if I touch wood, I won't do it. But if I did die tomorrow, it would continue, and it would still be the same business because the people that work within it have still got what I like to think is sort of the company emotions and feelings to how it should be treated and what it's about.
Yeah, the company has its own identity that you've created, but you've passed that identity, personality through the systems, the culture, the vision into it, and brilliant, wonderful. But Andrew, it's been absolutely fascinating and very inspiring speaking to you, and I congratulate you for what you've achieved. And for anyone that would like to get in touch with you or the company, what would be the easiest way to do so?
They can pick the phone up quite easily. It's Wheatley FM. They can email in. They can email me if they wanted to, but there's info@wheatleyfm.net. Our telephone number is a Leeds number, 287 770. Just ask to speak to myself, Andrew. There's many other people there, but yeah, by all means, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm more than happy to speak to anybody.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today. It'd be great to swing by another 6-12 months and just see the next stages of your development and growth.
Well, yeah, definitely, Chris. That's not a problem at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.